This is it. The final game to decide who's going to qualify for the World Cup. Only a win matters. If you haven't seen the last videos, this is what we're talking about. European Championship, round 11. Whoever wins this game gets to qualify for the World Cup, gets one of the 22 spots to qualify for the World Cup. I was playing with the black pieces against strong French Grandmaster Romain Edouard, and it was clear we both needed to win, which was a good situation for me because with black to beat Romain, if he only needs a draw, that would have been a very difficult task. But I knew in this way, at least, I would get a shot because he also needed to go and take some risks to get this much needed win. So this was the situation before the game. We both had 7 points out of 10 and we both had a bad tiebreak, which meant a draw would most likely not be enough and meant we had to go for this win. So let's get started. I prepared quite a bit against Romain and he made a very smart decision. He decided to play sideline here, pretty much the collar system if I recall it correctly. And he could play the first moves pretty quickly while I had to think already and wasn't so sure about it. So I burned a lot of time early on. All these moves are pretty natural. And now white takes from c5, plays b4. I retreated to e7. White doesn't have an advantage here, but he just gets a full game. And this was the idea, and very smart decision by Romain to go for this. Now I played a6 to stop b5. a4 is renewing this idea. And here probably I should play e5 and not go bishop d7. After e5, game could continue with, for example, b5. A takes b5, a takes b5, rook takes a1, queen takes a1. Maybe I was concerned about this line, but after e4, b takes c6, e takes c3. This is just completely fine for white, for black, for white probably as well, but black shouldn't have any problems. To win this position, of course, a different question. So maybe b5 not the best continuation for white, instead e4, and then I could play bishop g4, and again, if white goes for b5, I can take here, bishop has to take, and knight a5, and position is about equal. So this might have been better than my move bishop d7. Anyway, let's continue with this. e4, queen c7 to stop e5. Rook e1 is renewing this threat of e5, so I need to release the tension in the center. Takes, 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 and here I made an inaccuracy. I played the move bishop f6, which I was quite happy about, to stop c4 to lock this bishop into place, but I missed his reply completely. Instead I should play rook fd8 and the position should be around equal. So which reply did I miss? Romain played pretty quickly the move queen b1 and I noticed, oh, I missed this move. The point is, white is attacking the pawn on h7, and after I defended with h6, white gets to play c4. He gets to trade this bishop, which was restricted before against my bishop, and he's getting this queenside majority moving. This is what it's about. In this position, white has the queenside majority and wants to get it forward. On the other hand, I have the kingside majority. I have another extra center pawn. I would like to get this pawn moving. And we'll actually see this later in the game. So I take on b2, and here white is better, and I had already burned up a lot of time, so this was not looking particularly good. But I said to myself, well, gotta fight, gotta try as hard as I can. Rook fd8, rook ac1, and here I played knight e7, which was fine. Queen b6 I also considered and completely missed that he can go b5 and c5, and that would be quite painful. White gets pretty much everything he wants with tempo, so this would be no good. I played the better move knight e7, and he goes b5, which is a good move to stop bishop c6 and lock this, keep this active position for the bishop on e4. Here I made a mistake. I played the move bishop e8. Instead I should take first on b5. And after a takes b5, we'll actually see this in the game after bishop e8, pretty much. And I wasn't sure about c takes b5, but this is not too bad. I can go queen b6, queen a3. I calculate something like this, and I wasn't too sure about this position because I thought my structure is bad, but in fact turns out it would be just fine for black. So after bishop e8 though, I am considerably worse, as you can also see by the engine bar showing the advantage for white. But fortunately for me, Romain didn't find the right move. He played queen b4, instead b6 would have been quite strong. I want to go queen c5, but this is not a good idea at all, because after bishop takes b7, rook a b8, even bishop takes a6 is quite good, but just outright winning is to move rook e5, which I had simply missed. Pretty much running out of squares for the queen. So I might have saw that in time, I might have seen it in time and find queen c8, but now white continues with queen a3, and I'm really pushed back. White has a great space advantage here on the queen side. My pieces are passive. This looks quite unpleasant. Black's not lost, but clearly with the back to the wall. I was still with the back to the wall, especially as my time was getting lower and lower here. And what I didn't say before, I was actually in the exact same position last year at the European Championship. But then I was playing with white against Niels Grondeus, and I also needed a win, and he needed a win as well. And back then I lost. So I didn't want to repeat this again this year, and I was just digging in my heels, I think this expression exists, and putting up the most resistance I could. Took on b5. Here I expect him to take with the c-pawn, which I think is stronger. Even though after queen d6, queen b3, queen b6, white doesn't have that much of an advantage, but still he has a little bit of a push, I would say. More pleasant to play with white. So a takes b5, rook a c8, good move. Because if he goes c5 here, then I can answer with knight d5, and I'm already better, potentially. So this is not an option, and Romain played knight d2. And I could tell he was also spending more time now, and that he was not too happy about how the last few moves went. Here I played the move b6. I saw this idea, bishop takes b5, and I think Romain was relieved that I didn't play this move. The point is, if he takes with the queen, I can take the knight on d2, and black's just better. And if white takes on b5, I can trade on c1 and play rook dd1, threatening mate. And white should go g3, rook takes f1, king g2. And I saw this position, and I thought, well, maybe white is still better, but certainly it doesn't look like it's a winning attempt for me. In fact, it's just equal after, for example, knight d5. And I think here the game would have ended in a draw. So this was the situation. He couldn't make a draw, I couldn't make a draw, because a draw is nothing for both of us. b6, stopping c5, knight b3. And here I play queen d6, which is okay, but I could also play either rook b8, and it's really not clear what white is going to do next, or maybe even f5, what I was talking about earlier, get these pawns rolling on the queen side. Even though this is a little bit sharper here. Could see this potential line, bishop c4 pinning the knight, takes on c5, this is much sharper, and in the end should also lead to a draw here after knight c5, there's some move repetition. So those were the options, maybe just rook b8, nice prophylactic move, stopping c5, and it would be everybody's game. Also after queen d6 is everybody's game, but this move doesn't seem to help that much. Now I make a mistake. I played the move f5. I don't know exactly how much time I had left here, but it was not a whole lot, and I had to do something with it. Move 25, still 50 moves to be played. And the thing I want to avoid definitely was to make some stupid time pressure blunder and give away the game like that. So you can imagine the pressure was extremely high at this point, especially as things were heating up now after I played f5. One way to do it would be first to go e5 and to still keep f5 as an option. Even better potentially is to move knight g6. The point is, that white cannot take this knight since his rook a8 and the queen is out of squares. White is not losing this queen, he can still go c5, but black would be better in this endgame here. And now f takes g6. And this pawn is hanging, and rook takes e6 is not a good idea because of bishop e7, rook takes d6, and black's pushing here. So instead, after knight g6, white should play g3, and I can improve my knight to e5, and maybe even bring to d7 to c5. This looks more pleasant for for black, excuse me, even though it should be still equal. Alright, let's see it again. f5, completely missed this reply, bishop b7. Well, I thought, well, okay, you play bishop b7, I attack you, you have to go back, and then I follow up with e5. But white doesn't have to go back. Romain found a strong c5. And now he gets what he wants. He gets this past b pawn, and he activates his knight. And I was like, whew, this is not good news. Suddenly all the white pieces are getting active, but so far everything is still fine, e5. Now, Romain played an inaccuracy, played the move bishop a6, and the bishop is just not well placed there. In fact, it will be there till the end of the game. So, what should white have played instead? Queen a6 was a strong move. I can never trade because white takes with the b pawn. And after e4, which is the best move, white can attack this pawn chain with f3, and this would have been quite uncomfortable. I should probably sacrifice a pawn here, and I have some compensation, but white is the one pushing, clearly. He could, for example, trade queens here with queen e6. Alright, bishop a6. And I push e4. I didn't see anything wrong with that. Queen f6 would have been better though. Okay, e4, knight b7, queen d4. And now white cannot take on d8 because his queen is hanging, so he played queen a3. Fortunately, queen b3 would have been stronger. Bishop f7, and now queen g3. Queen swings over to the queen side. Some ideas here maybe. I don't know why I made this error. Anyway, queen g3. I have to go rook f8 because the rook needs to keep defending this rook. And now white gets the d file. Yeah, this again looks unpleasant. Queen c3 here is an endgame that white will never lose and where he can push. He doesn't have to go queen c3, but this seems to be best. Knight e6, another option. So this was definitely a critical moment. Queen b3 would have been quite uncomfortable for me. Queen a3, rook d7, and now knight a5 was a move I was expecting with the idea knight c6, but it turns out it's not too bad. Queen f6, knight c6, take, rook c7. This pawn will fall, and then it should be equal. Of course, not what I want, but at least I'm not losing. I mean, before I lose, I'd rather take a draw. Okay, knight c5, rook d6, and here white should probably take a draw, but as I've said several times, a draw means we both miss out. So Romain pushed with queen g3, a move that I found a little bit unpleasant because there are certain threats now, like knight b7 and knight e6, because of these ideas along the diagonal. I don't know how much time I had exactly, maybe 3 minutes, something like that. 2-3 minutes for another 7 moves. Rook bb6 is a very important move, and I saw some ideas here. Rook g6, maybe get something going against the white king, and this is exactly what happens. Here already white is with his back to the wall. He's worse, and he played knight b7, and now his pieces are just awkward here. Knight and bishop are far away from the action, and I can play rook g6, which was actually not the best move, but practically it was an uncomfortable move. Better is rook d5, even keeping control of the d file, attacking this pawn, and black should be clearly better. After rook g6, Romain made a, one could say, clear error, the move queen b8. Best is queen b3 check. And we're getting to a really juicy part of the game now, to the very sharp part of the game. Here after king h7, knight c5. Black's better as well, but it's not that much. I was actually only expecting queen c7, or I was at least looking at this move and was thinking maybe I can play this sacrifice. But then I saw rook g6 and white can come back, queen c4, check, and bring the queen back to f1. And this is kind of where it stopped, but the line continues. Check this out, bishop d5. Wow, what a move. White takes the queen, he is checkmated. Or, well, not checkmated, but he's worse. I'm just realizing he can still go for this. But after f4, it's funny. White is up a rook, but he's still lost because of this constellation here. Wow. I just want to show you this line. We're going to see a lot of very interesting and difficult lines. White needs to play rook cd1 here, and then queen a2, fantastic move, defend the bishop. Rook takes d5, only move, queen takes d5, rook d1, queen d5, and it's a completely unclear position. Black is down a piece, but has 2 pawns. Attack against the white king. Computer says equal, but who wants to play this position? In fact, after queen c7, I have a much better move, which is knight d5, and attacking the queen, getting the knight maybe into a game. These ideas are still in a position. Black is close to winning. So let's get to it. Queen b8. This came as a shock to me. But the shock didn't last for too long. What did I play now? You can pause the video right now. Alright, I'm preparing for the most exciting part of this game. So rook takes g2 works here because white doesn't have this defense. He has another defense though, so this had to be evaluated pretty carefully. But I saw, okay, at least I have a perpetual, at least I have a draw. And in this way also I'm reaching time control because all the moves are forced now. King h1 is forced, king f1 leads to checkmate right away. Check, 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 and mate. And king h3 is also not an option. Queen takes f2 and the white king will be checkmated. So king h1, queen takes f2, threatening mate in various ways, but white can defend by giving his queen. And this is the position I had to look at. Now we have a very interesting piece constellation on the board. White has 2 rooks and a piece. I have the queen and some pawns, and of course the white king is weak, and this is the most important factor, as always in chess. And I have the knight close by and the white pieces are far away. So I knew, okay, this position is definitely not worse for me. The question is it winning? Can I still create chances? Rook f1, queen d2, and now we reach the time control. White has to play rook cd1 because I threatened knight h4, which is a very unpleasant threat. So rook cd1 is forced. Queen c2 and rook c1. White is harassing me with his rooks, and at this point Romain offered a draw, and we got another half an hour after the time control, but I was burning through this pretty quickly and I was desperately trying to find a way to get it going, to create chances, but I couldn't see anything. I just couldn't see anything. There were so many possibilities. And the position is incredibly difficult. So I was down to 7 or 6 minutes and I really considered to accept the draw because to play this position with 5 or 6 minutes against he had about an hour, it's pretty much insane. But I knew a draw, it's not enough, so I just had to try. So I declined and I played queen d2. There's a win here for black which goes like this. For example, queen b2 would be a good move. And now rook b1, and now queen a3. And I think I saw this, I considered this. But one thing I wasn't sure about is to move b6. Because now if I take, white goes knight c5, pushes the pawn, and there's no way for black to win this. But in this position, knight h4 is very strong, and queen and knight and the pawns are developing a very strong attack against the white king. So this would be winning. In fact, I have some more information here. See, okay, let's switch over here. Oh yeah, knight h4, okay, it stops here. So You just have to believe me that this is winning. What about other moves? Rook takes f5, also move to consider, but again h4, rook f2, e3. Black is going to win this. This is just too much to handle for white. The two rooks cannot defend. So best defense would be knight e5, but now knight h4 once more. Queen comes over to h3, rook f2, e3, and white needs to give the knight here. And we get to this position, which computers tells me it's winning. Still a long way to go, I would say, to convert this, but certainly very good practical chances. Okay, so this would be one way to do it. There are other lines, it gets really complicated. So let's see the game, because this is still complicated enough, trust me. So I play queen g5. I thought, okay, I have to do something. You know, after I played this move, I somewhat regretted. I thought, okay, probably I'm just going to lose now. How am I going to play this position with like 6 minutes on the clock? Fortunately for me, now Romain also took a lot of time to think, about half an hour. And I could use all his time to calculate as well. Okay, to be fair, the move he played, I didn't really consider at all. I considered it briefly, but not for long. I mostly thought about rook g1, which would be also losing or close for white. Here the important move is queen f4, threatening queen f3, and now rook g3, which is a move that makes a lot of sense to defend and double on the g file. Other moves like rook df1 just lose. Queen e5, queen is well placed here, and after knight a5, e3, the bishop comes back, but I take on b5. White has to put himself in a very awkward spot with his pieces. They're all dependent on each other. I can play e2. And during the game, I wasn't sure about this position, but the computer tells us it's just completely winning for black. So that tells you how difficult to assess these positions are. Another move which can be considered is to move rook d7 here. And Romain actually told me after the game that he should have done this. And then e3, b6, and I thought, okay, now it's going to be a draw, but black can win with an only move, queen a4, double attack against these two guys, and after knight c5, queen c6, rook g2. Black doesn't take the knight, but takes the dangerous pawn, and this is now winning, just too much material hanging. So best try for white would be rook g3, now e3, knight c5, and I don't know what the hell is going on here, honestly. Queen c4. Also another option would be e2, but this seems to be, well, let's see this real quick. What is this? Rook dg1, queen d6. Both sides have to play pretty much all the moves to get it going, or for black at least to have an advantage. So we get this position. Okay, rook c1. This looks like white should have enough here. He has still the 3 pieces. This, I'm pretty sure this should be holdable for black, for white, for black certainly. So here in this position, queen c4, b7, queen takes c5, rook e1, and we get to this line e2, takes, knight e5, b6, takes. Okay, we reach this position finally, and I think this is a win. White cannot take on f5 because he loses the rook. And if he cannot take, then I'm pretty certain this is a win for black. But you can see how difficult these lines are, how incredibly complicated. So what should have white done instead? White could have saved himself with the only move b6, objectively. And then it should lead to, for example, knight h4, rook g1, again only move. Well, this is maybe not too difficult because the checkmate threat cannot be defended in so many ways. Queen e3, rook g3, queen takes b6. This is what I saw, and I thought, well, this should be fine, I'm winning material, but white has to move rook d7. And that's a counter, and actually I need to play queen f6, and we get an endgame here, which is just a draw. because I have these 2 pawns. I also don't have to do this. There are other ways to reach a draw. Let's see one more line. Why not? Queen h5 would be another way. e3, e2, rook f2, and now queen g6. Are you kidding me? And this would lead to a draw. Why does it even rook takes g6, e1 queen? Rook f1, and then of course queen a5. Yeah, attack this guy on a6. Wow. So white should take here. I take the knight, rook defends pawn, and this would be a draw because the white king is too open, so he cannot really do much with his extra pawn. Even though I think the other line I like better for black to make a draw. Okay, let's see the game. So Romain played rook d7, and remember, I only had 5 minutes or so for, that's it, just 5 minutes for the rest of the game. And I played knight e5, I just didn't see anything wrong with it. f4 would be also good. But knight e5, I thought, okay, with tempo, I hit the rook. And now Romain made a mistake, he played rook g1. The best defense would be knight c5. I take on d7, and I should win this, but okay, still some work needs to be done here. But this should be winning with the pawns here, I believe. But this was the most tenacious defense. So, rook g1, and this is what Romain had missed when he played rook d7, that now the knight can come to g4. Very important, defend against this threat. And here, let's see some footage from the live stream where exactly this position is in the board, so you can get a feel for the tension and the atmosphere during the game. Alright, so at this point I threaten checkmate on f2. What can white do? Played rook g2, defending against it. But now queen c1 check. Rook has to go back. Knight f2 check, king has to come out. And queen f4. And this is posing insolvable problems for white because of the threat queen f3. So for example, rook f1, queen f3, king g1, knight h3, mate. And what else can white do? King f1, knight g4 also just leads to checkmate right away. So Romain resigned, and I'm still getting goosebumps when I'm talking about this because it was just such an immense pressure. And I'm going to show you also some footage from right after the game, and you'll get a better feel. So what did that mean? It meant I got 8 points out of 11, and I ended up tying for third with a bunch of other people of the tie breaks in 9th place. And it meant, most importantly for me, that I reached my goal. I qualified for the World Cup, which is going to happen in September in Hann. And this is quite a big deal for me. And what made it so special for me is that I, as some of you might have seen, that I won the last 3 games, and every single one of them was like a huge fight, and I really had to give it my all to get there and to do it, and I did it. So I was immensely happy. I'm still immensely happy, and I would like to show you now the moments after this game ended, and we'll finish there. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey through my European Championship, and this is not over. Continues at the World Cup. All right.